Oh, it's going to be right there. You cannot stick it in the ground. It's not going to work.
Who did that?
You got to put it in the shoe.
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Now, we have certainly had a rough start to this year for Bitcoin and stocks and commodities and everything alike, right? Actually, Bitcoin, you can see right here, according to Glassnode, says that it had its worst performing month, being June, that it's seen in the previous 11 years. And in addition to that, it also had its worst quarterly performance, losing 60% of its value during the second quarter of the current year. So it has definitely been a rough start of the year, first half of the year for Bitcoin, commodities, stocks, etc., right? However, the one thing that I do need to talk about is, number one, if you are looking to trade short term, Bitcoin is clearly, you could see, setting up in this pennant formation, which the fact that it did just come off of a massive downtrend generally means we're going to continue to the downside, right? However, I do need to talk about some key levels because fundamentally speaking right now, we had spoken about the deleveraging event, right? We had talked about that in my previous a couple videos ago, and we are seeing it happen right now. We're seeing these big, guys like Three Arrows Capital, having these bankruptcy situations and massive deleveraging, right? So where does that leave the markets right now? Do we still have to slide down to these crazy low levels? And, the question is 20,000 really as significant as a lot of people say it is, or is it just a psychological level? Because there really is another level for Bitcoin that truly, if you're going to look at the charts on TA, is a lot more significant than the $20,000 level. So we are going to go over that, but I am letting you know that I am expecting a big move for Bitcoin soon. Now, talking about this, are we actually entering that accumulation zone for Bitcoin? Because if we have a look at what some of these whales are doing, well, it does appear that some have been accumulating in these particular levels. So I'm going to show you proof about why now could be a good time to buy Bitcoin. And also, something that we've never seen before could be signaling something very alarming. We need to pay attention to this because could the U.S., and yes, I'm talking about the United States, actually be setting up for a potential Bitcoin standard within the United States monetary policy and framework? You guys have to stick around to the end of this video. Lots of stuff to go over today. You're really going to enjoy this video. We will try to keep it straight to the point. And also another thing is we've seen some exchanges actually going under. There's been about 25 crypto exchanges that have gone under totally. They just are not around anymore. They're totally insolvent. These are ones that no one's really talking about. So where can you put your crypto? Is it safe? Should you just pull all your crypto off of all the exchanges? How do we navigate the space during these winter bear type times? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Thank you for coming back to the channel. Hope you guys enjoy this content. Get subscribed if you haven't already. And as you guys can see right here, we are in fact forming what I believe to be a pennant. Now, because technically it is coming off of this downwards move, it is considered a bear pennant, right? Which means that, if you have a look at these measured moves, you could sort of just take this line from here to here, and you can see if we place this down here, that's almost kind of where we fell once we broke that level, right? So if we were to actually align that same thing here, pull it down, then that would bring us, if we break down, to about $12,500. Now, is Bitcoin going to go to $12,500? Not necessarily, but you can see right here, every single time we have this consolidation, we break down. Consolidation, we break down. We're having consolidation again, and what are we doing? We're just putting in a stair pattern, right? Going down lower and lower. Are we going to continue to go lower this time around? Well, you can see that currently it is a little bit different because we are being supported by the heart line of this downtrend. And really, anywhere in between this area of these two resistance and supports, you can see this big area right in here is essentially a no man's land, because if we come way back here, you can see there's a little bit of support that we put in right around this sort of $16,200 level area. But what is the more realistic area for Bitcoin to go to? Well, I'll get to this chart in a second. But if you actually zoom out here, what you'll notice, no, actually we could take it from here. I'll go right here. If we actually switch to the monthly chart, and I'll explain to you why I have these moving averages here in a second, you can see most people are talking about this $20,000 area, right? And that's this purple level. But if you really look, there's nothing in that area except for just a little wick right here, which really isn't that important, right? We have this candle that tried to peak above it right here, but it really didn't provide much of anything. And then we just came down here super quick right now. So you're really only looking at about 3 areas where we have this $20,000 level, which some people are saying is the most important level. But really, if you actually look at what happened on that December 17th close, well, we got up to 20,000, but where did we close? We actually closed at $13,800, right? Remember that. So we had the close there, and then we had the open the next month, right? So you have these 2 candles providing that support around that area. Then look at this. We had a wick directly to it, and another attempted wick right here on June and July of 2019, right? And then again, we had a little bit of that resistance right here, and we tried to close below it, but then we pumped, right? So ultimately, if you're actually looking for the bigger level, I would say it's more here, right here, and that area is around $13,800. So if you really wanted to talk about the true resistance, yes, technically, tapping on the $20,000 level is the previous resistance as far as the all-time high of 2017 is concerned, but there's a lot more area of interest right here at around $13,800. So if you really were looking for that ultimate down target, not saying I'm trying to get super bearish on you guys, I'm just being realistic, it would really be more around that $13,800 level. Now, that's like a super low term target. If you want to talk more short term, right, and you wanted to play this move, essentially, what you would really be looking for is if we did have the breakout right here, you would essentially just be looking for, something that would sort of probably come back up to this level right here, right around 21,800. Because if we have this breakout to the top, you could see that we do have this resistance right here. So the next level, if you are looking to trade this, by the way, do check out the tutorials popping up above. There's $23,000 in bonuses below. But if you are looking to trade the breakout, you'd wait for that confirmation. And then, right around 21,800, 22,000, you would kind of look to take profits, because at this point, we do have a lot of downward sloping resistance for Bitcoin right now. But getting back to this chart, if we actually have a look on, and this is the monthly, okay? So you can see obviously the 21 exponential on the monthly. You can see the significance of it. We've talked about this. Once we fall below it, we fall hard. Once we break above it, we pump pretty hard, right? So we can see right here, this is the green line. You can see as soon as we lost the 21 exponential, and look at this, guys, from the time that we actually lost this level right here to where Bitcoin is right now was a 47% drop from those levels, right? But the other thing that you'll notice is that we do have this 50. Now, this is this yellow moving average right here. Now, the incredible thing about this is that in Bitcoin's existence, we've never actually closed below it, and it's often provided support for that accumulation period of the bear trend or the winter trend, right? And you can see right here, we never closed below it, we did fall below it. And, whoa, sorry guys, went back way too far. If we come up here to the bear, or the end of the bear, I should say, the accumulation zone that we had right here in 2018, you could see it did act as support again. COVID, we did fall below it, but we did close back above it. Now, interestingly enough, if we fast forward to today, we did in fact close below it, and we are sitting below it now. So there's a lot of things that we've never seen happen in the Bitcoin charts before, which is why it is a little bit difficult to, anymore keep saying, oh, well, because it happened before, it's going to happen again, right? So it's not really possible to give certainty, make a prediction and just say, no, this is it, this is the bottom, because we don't know that, because it is very different this time around. But I can tell you that historically, statistically, based on the data, it is very close to the bottom. And, even if we were to fall down, to that level, it would be about another 30% if we did go down to that 13,800. But keep in mind, that's 30% from this level. If we take it from the top down to that, that's about an 80% drop, which, is usually what we see for Bitcoin. And we tend to see diminishing returns as Bitcoin, goes forward in time because it takes more money to push the price up higher. But at the same time, we also don't see as extreme drops as we used to, right? We saw over 90%, 94% drops in Bitcoin back in, the early days when Bitcoin, back here. I mean, some of these swings in Bitcoin are absolutely insane, considering, this drawdown. This is 84% right here just in a month's time. For example, top to bottom, we had back here in the 11th right here, 94% back in 2011, right? And then as you tend to move forward in time for Bitcoin, the drops are less and less. This is only an 87%. So we went from 94 to 87%. Then we go to the 2017 drop. And what do we have here? That goes down to only 84%, right? And then back here, when we had the mid-cycle rally, that was only 71%. So currently what we're seeing for Bitcoin right now is about a 70%. So we are seeing not only diminishing returns on the way up, but also not as much drawdowns on the way down, right? Now, I know the macroeconomic factors, right? But we're just talking about numbers here. So speaking about just the numbers, if we were to go from that level down to bottom, that brings us 80% diminishing returns as well as not as big of a fall. I don't see why that couldn't be in the ballpark, but nevertheless, from the levels that we're at right now, it's not that much difference. Percentage-wise, sure, but dollar-wise, I mean, if you've already waited this long, accumulating, in my opinion, not financial advice from this level even down to 13,800 really makes a lot of sense, and it could be that generational buy. Now, interestingly enough, if we have a look at the whale wallets over here, now we know who some of these wallets are controlled by, right? We know that this is Binance, Bitfinex, OKX, Cold Wallet, etc. But if we look right here, the third biggest whale, which we don't I'm sure somebody knows, but we don't know specifically who this wallet belongs to. You could see right here, in just the past week, they've added an additional 921 Bitcoin, and in the past month, they've added 4,450 Bitcoin, and you can also see some of these other wallets as well. Well, these are Binance reserves. Not too much data on these guys. But this one right here, for example, added 7,000 over the course of the month. So, I mean, just taking this one right here, for example, 4,450 Bitcoin in a month, 921 in a week, and this is not an exchange wallet. This is just a whale. And they're obviously active recently. So someone, an organization, an unnamed entity, we don't know who this is, but they're clearly accumulating at these levels. Now, the reason why I talk about the fact that you could see Bitcoin, integrated, not necessarily like a full-on, Bitcoin standard, you know what I'm saying? I don't think the US is ever going to get off the dollar, but seeing it integrated is a possibility into the monetary policy. Now, that's what I'm going to talk about here, because remember I told you that the Bank for International Settlements is going to allow banks to keep 1% of their reserves in Bitcoin and or cryptocurrencies, right? Depending. This is huge. And I showed you the math. If we actually have that 1% come in, you're talking potentially pushing the Bitcoin price up to $347,000. Now, if you don't know how I got this number, watch my previous video. That was the whole video. That was what I was talking about when I was out in my backyard and we were going over this big news. But as you can see right here, continuing off of this, there was an interview with Tim Draper, and he says that the general public will start using Bitcoin in a big way once it realizes that Bitcoin is an option for everyday purchases. He says the masses are going to be coming in very soon, and once they do, it will be all at once because Bitcoin has much less friction because it is truly global. And we've seen even in Turkey recently, right? They've been buying Bitcoin. We saw those charts because essentially they're having, hyperinflation over there. And, he obviously talks about all these different, talks about the Nigerian Naira and having runs on them, etc. But he says, I'm very excited about what's going on with Bitcoin. It looks like we're having the equivalent of a 1929 collapse today, but we've got a better technology in Bitcoin. I've continued to buy Bitcoin over the years and have felt that at some point there will be some sort of a run on the dollar. I know there will be other challenges for Bitcoin along the way, but it's just a better currency, and things that are better for the long term for the consumer usually do win out in the end. But in the meantime, you're going to see central banks getting a little bit nervous, governments getting a little bit nervous, big governments definitely getting nervous, but little governments, like we've seen in El Salvador and Central African Republic, they're going to look at this as an opportunity, right? So let's continue down why this could be huge and why it might not be the best time to be ignoring or walking away from Bitcoin. So you have banking giant Goldman Sachs. They've officially executed the first block trade of Bitcoin futures in Asia through the intermediation of GFI Securities LLC. So this is the first ever intermediated block trade of CME Group Bitcoin options contracts in the Asian markets. So you had the CEO of Asia Pacific for BGC, Brad Howell, expressed optimism about partnering with Goldman Sachs. He said this transaction marks BGC's continued commitment to expanding our cryptocurrency offering and working with our global counterparties in developing this rapidly evolving asset class. But that is not just it, my friends. So Joe Biden issued an executive order, right, that required the International Trade Administration to solicit feedback from the general public about digital assets and competitiveness in the United States. As a direct result of this, the Bitcoin Policy Institute submitted a paper to the United States Department of Commerce on the topic of digital asset competitiveness. And this is the conclusion that they came to. So, and seems a little bit long, but I find this to be very important. And if you do care about Bitcoin and you do believe that it will be integrated, you might want to stick around for this part of the video. So, regarding financial inclusion research from the Federal Reserve, they estimated that about 19% of Americans are either underbanked or unbanked, right? With higher rates among adults with lower income, lower education, and they also say Black and Hispanic adults as well. So they say, to process and settle payments and prevent fraud, a multitude of intermediates are required for the majority of digital transactions. As a consequence, the report notes customers pay between 1.5% and 3.5% in credit card processing and interchange fees. So, quote, by contrast, they say, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin offer markedly lower fees by removing the need for centralized intermediaries. We expect that continued innovation of and expanded access to emerging payment protocols, such as the Lightning Network, will not only lower transaction costs for underbanked Americans, but will also exert competitive pressures on traditional financial institutions to lower their fees as well. They say Bitcoin gives the U.S. a clear advantage over other economic blocs and adversary nations that reject or stifle the adoption, especially as they pursue techno-authoritarian governance and monetary systems designed to facilitate social control rather than individual freedom. Finally, the report discusses the controversy surrounding proof of work mining, right? Which is ultimately believed to continue to be valued by the marketplace. And in particular, they believe that it will continue to expand in the US. They consider that Bitcoin may prove to be an important factor in the acceleration of the production of renewable energy, the stabilization of a new greener grid, and the reduction of methane emissions, while also presenting innovation alternatives to heating systems that are fueled by fossil fuels. This is an extremely positive response to Joe Biden's executive order requiring the International Trade Administrations to solicit their feedback backs, right? So what you are seeing here essentially is going from we don't care about Bitcoin, we should ban Bitcoin, we don't have time to deal with Bitcoin, to now, wait a minute, how can we integrate Bitcoin into the system in a safe and regulated way that can also be ESG friendly, right? This is a completely different stance. So, when you hear people saying, Bitcoin's going to zero and it's dead and this and that, you have to understand that if they really truly thought it was a flash in the pan and it wasn't going to go anywhere over the next few years or decades, why would there be so much infrastructure and so much time and emphasis being built and put into this entire network that is Bitcoin, right? So personally for me, although it can be a little bit depressing, looking at the portfolio and seeing the price down right now, you have to realize that these are, obviously in hindsight being 2020, right? But these are those opportunities that, you wait for, those literally generational opportunities, once in a lifetime opportunities, right? Or at least once, in every couple decades, right? Every 20, 30 years, really, you get an opportunity like this. This, for me, it's a no-brainer. obviously, when it comes to Bitcoin. Now, a lot of the other coins, very speculative, not too sure. But Bitcoin, and I guess Ethereum, they do consider Ethereum, I believe, to be a commodity at this point. I think, although Gary Gensler did say only Bitcoin officially, but pretty sure Ethereum, they're, I don't know. I think they're still on the fence about it, but I think they're cool with Ethereum. Maybe some of you know more specifically. It seems like Ethereum is still in the gray zone. Bitcoin, definitely 100% property/commodity, right? But as you guys can see right here, it has still gotten worse. And we were talking about the deleveraging. Voyager has filed for bankruptcy days after freezing withdrawals. The collapse comes after it revealed significant exposure to 3 Arrows Capital, which itself also sought bankruptcy as protection. Now, on the bright side, I have seen that Celsius is paying off some of their debt, and their margin call level is substantially lower. Like, I think it was in the $5,000 level. It could even be lower at the time of making this video. So that is really good to see that Celsius is doing that. Still do be careful because, as you guys can see here, the bear market has wiped 25 crypto exchanges in just 30 days, and you can see that the exchanges have actually dropped completely off over here, which means that some of these guys are going insolvent. So please be careful where you send your funds to, and never put more on an exchange than you're willing to lose, right? Now, not only has it been difficult, especially in the US, to know what exchanges you can use, because in a weird way, it's like you almost have to use these shady exchanges sometimes, because the legit ones, especially like FTX US, right, you can only trade a handful, and it doesn't even work in New York. Actually, in New York, the main ones in and out are only Gemini and Coinbase. You can't use crypto.com. And then even in the states that you can use it, you're limited, right, to how much you can and can't withdraw. So, I've definitely been searching for them, and I did tell you guys that as I find them, I'll let you know. One exchange that so far has been very friendly as far as US is definitely BitGet. They have a massive selection over here, and, who knows how long it'll last. I don't know, guys. Obviously, like I said, don't store your funds on an exchange, but if you are looking for an exchange to trade, BitGet has actually been very friendly. I like how they have it broken down over here. I've been using them recently, full transparency, and you can see that they have it broken down into NFTs, Web3, even Grayscale if you're interested in stuff like that, GameFi, Solana specifically, Metaverse, pretty cool. And the other thing that I really like is that they also have not only USDT, but USDC trading, and I prefer using USDC. I just like USDC. I just feel a little bit more comfortable with USDC. There's not as much speculation around it the same way that there is with Tether. So I definitely suggest if you guys are looking for an exchange, they have a 20 Bitcoin withdrawal limit, which is insane. Some of these other exchanges that do no KYC, they only do like 1 or 2. And for example, Binance kicked me off 2 years ago, and a lot of the other exchanges that I was using for whatever regulatory reasons or whatever don't want to let US citizens trade. So like I said, don't put everything on any exchange, but BitGet has definitely been one lately that I'm really enjoying using. And if you guys do want, I do obviously have an affiliate link below. If you guys want to use that, you can actually get some crazy bonuses. In fact, they have a $4,000 first on-chain deposit bonus. And if you basically keep your funds there for 5 days, you can get a tiered reward of up to $4,000. Now, obviously, as I said, I'm not going to promote or talk about any exchange and say that they could never go insolvent. I never promoted Celsius or anything like that on the channel. So be careful with any exchange. I don't know, necessarily BitGet well enough to know exactly like what's going on in the background, but I can tell you that I've had no problem taking funds on and off, and they have like ridiculously high security measures, and you can take up to 20 Bitcoin withdrawal per day, which is just an absolutely insane amount if you guys are looking to get in and out quick and stuff like that. So definitely check out BitGet, guys. Like I said, make sure that you use the link below if you do want to get these extra bonuses, but that's kind of like my go-to exchange right now. So yeah, guys, definitely check that out if you want. And I just wanted to end on the fact that JP Morgan strategist has said that the worst of the crypto bear market is nearing its end. He says indicators like our net leverage metric suggest that deleveraging is already well advanced. Now, this is according to Nicholas Panagurtsoglou, and he pointed out that part of the reason for this prediction, like we've been saying this whole time, essentially is the fact that other crypto firms with stronger balance sheets are making it a business of theirs to assist in making sure that the virus that has been spread by the bear market is contained. Obviously talking about FTX interfering with BlockFi with a $250 million emergency credit line. And also the forecast was influenced by the fact that venture capital funding has not been majorly affected by the current market situations. Despite the crypto winter, funding has totaled around $5 billion. So you still are seeing interest in the space. You're seeing the crypto whales accumulate, but you're seeing a lot of the bad actors get flushed out. Some of these practices that shouldn't be happening, the deleveraging effect, right? This is all part of a cleansing period. And, it's just time. Time in the market is better than trying to time the market. And unfortunately, these situations, they take time, right? But at the end of the day, historically speaking, even if you just want to have a look right here, we are at levels of very major, anytime we ever get below this 50 monthly, it has been insane. I mean, literally, look how much time we've spent below here. Less than a week here, less than a week here, less than a week here, and about a week and a half here. Okay? So historically speaking, this is the best time to be buying, not financial advice. So I don't really know what else to tell you guys. Like, price could potentially go lower. I'm not going to make a prediction because I don't know. I don't know what's going to go on with the economy. I don't know what's going to happen globally. But I can tell you, historically speaking, at these levels, these are not really the times to be panicking. These are the times to be realizing that, basically in a nutshell, I personally would be trying to figure out how to get more passive income, or not passive income, but how to be just making more income in general, working extra jobs, putting in extra hours, doing work on the side, maybe having a yard sale or selling things, because these opportunities only happen, just judging by the chart, it can't be more than 1 to 2 to 3% of Bitcoin's existence that we've ever had opportunities to buy, below these levels. Obviously, there's no data before August of 2014 because there literally wasn't enough weeks to formulate this moving average. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys. This is the time. This is what people wait for, and could it go lower? Sure. But I mean, look what happened. We were down here, right? We were sitting at 3,000. People said it was going to go down to 1,000. It never did. And all those people that waited for 1,000, they waited and waited and waited and waited and waited, went all the way up to 13,000. Did they end up buying at 13? I don't know. Maybe they did, but then what happened? It came all the way back down to 4 and then, or 3,000. And then what did people say? Oh, we're going to go back down to 1 again. We never did. And then we blasted all the way up to 70,000. So just the same way that you can have over exuberance to the top, people calling for $100,000, $500,000 Bitcoin. Also realize that people calling for, 10, 7, 3, these crazy low numbers, that can also be the time that you want to take that contrarian point of view as well, right? So that's basically my opinion on the markets, what's going on, guys. And that's basically it for me today. So I know I haven't been making updates as frequently, but it's not really as exciting right now, and the market, especially when you start to get into these bottoming out type periods, it does get quite boring. But just remember that back here, we were bottoming out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and then boom, we fell 50%, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months again, so 10 months total, we did have, that bear market before we came back up again. So, most likely we're going to have another, 6 months to 8 months of this potential downwards, but mostly sideways action. I don't anticipate we stay down, below 20,000 for a long time. I think if we do go down to the levels that I spoke about, especially that $13,800 level, I don't see us staying there for more than a few months, the same way we didn't stay there for more than a few months back here. But ultimately, I still do believe, and you guys see what I'm saying here, right? Like, you see how we had this area and we came and then we kind of just hung out here? The same thing could happen right here, where we fall down, we have that, and then we come back up again, and you're only talking about maybe a 3 to 4 month period right here, right? And I still do think that by the end of this year, we could see the Fed start to kind of pull back a little bit. And I think at that point, we could see Bitcoin start to curl up and start to get ready for the next big move. And it's, these times that you position yourself really where the legends and the heroes are born, right? So that's essentially it for me, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Like I said, if you are specifically, US, not financial advice, don't do this. That's just what I've been using. I do highly recommend you guys take advantage of these bonuses over on BitGet. 4,000 trial, essentially you just deposit into the USDT margin futures. You can get up to $4,000. It literally takes like 20 seconds to sign up. So definitely check that out. And of course, if you guys are looking to trade, make sure that you use a paper account and watch these videos that are popping up right here, right now. My name is K-Dub. Until next time, stay crypto. Of course, peace out.